Good evening. Happy Wednesday, and greetings to the 12 tribes of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name was changed by the Most High to Israel or Yashar'al. Greetings, and greetings to the 144,000 who are among them and being prepared for things soon to come. Greetings. Greetings also to the Gentiles who recognize who the true Hebrews of the Bible are and who have, through faith in the Lion of the tribe of Judah, been grafted into that scattered flock and partake in all of the trials and sufferings that they partake in. Greetings. Blessings upon those that are working in healthcare and the first responders who are trying on a daily basis to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage, the menial task of keeping streets and sidewalks and highways clean, and those that also humbly deliver goods and services for us, for our convenience. And double blessing on the men and women trying to deliver, rescue, and recover the victims of child prostitution, child pornography, child molestation, and pedophilia, as well as the victims of pornography, the adult victims, and prostitution, sex slavery, human trafficking, and double curses from the Most High, which is soon to come upon the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts who are responsible and traffic in this human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children without a roof over their head today. And multiple millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Greetings to the chat, Zadok, Arkawak, Banya, Brother David, and anyone else who would join. Greetings to all of you and blessings. Recently, this week, I think it was, there was a Academy Awards presentation. Now, every year, there's a presentation from the Academy Award Committee or whoever's running that behind the scenes, probably some certain people that we all are aware of, according to the word, that deal in money. But every year, there's these Academy Awards given out for the actors and actresses and those behind the scenes that entertain us. This particular week, Will Smith, a very well-known entertainer. Matter of fact, every year during the Academy Awards, all of the greatest known entertainers are at the same place to either witness who gets the award or to get an award. And Will Smith is a famous actor from Philadelphia, married to a woman named Jada Pinkett, who also has appeared in multiple movies. And standing up on the stage was a comedian, Chris Rock. Whether these three people realized it or not, they are all bloodline Hebrews. And Chris Rock, as a comedian, his job is to entertain us by making us laugh. Oftentimes, some of his jokes come at the expense of other individuals. Usually, though, those individuals are not present when he makes those jokes. This particular night was a little different. And he started making fun or making light or making jokes about Will Smith's wife. At which point, Will Smith got up from his chair in the audience and walked up to the stage where Chris Rock was performing his monologue and slapped him across the face. Then he sat back down and, I'm paraphrasing, he yelled, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth." This made definitely national news, but probably international news. The next day, in fact, even that night, even on my own job, when we're dealing with software and IT, people were talking about it, and they said that somebody said there were so many memes made from it that it broke the internet. I want to say to you all who are preparing for the return of Messiah, be careful what you get serious about. Be careful of what gets your attention. I immediately, and I want to say this first as a disclaimer. I'm not saying this because I am the smartest apple that ever fell off the cart. But I will say this. What I do understand is that in these last days, there are multiple diversions, distractions, and things that are designed to turn our attention above the things from the things that are very important. When I first saw that, I saw it as a clip on YouTube, I immediately thought to myself, that's staged. After all, everybody involved is an actor. And what do actors do? They play a role of another person. And they do it at a high level to the point where they call themselves being what? In character. So why would someone stage this incident? Who gains? Who benefits? That's the question we always need to ask, because brothers and sisters, as we are reading the scriptures, and we have read this many times, but let's read it again because it comes into play once again in this incident. In Revelation chapter 12, the Bible is telling us about Satan, and it's giving us a good glimpse of his character. And not only that, the influence of his character around the earth, right? The influence of his character around the earth. Okay. In Revelation 12, Satan is described as a dragon. A dragon is synonymous with a serpent. The serpent tempted Eve. You can interchange that and say the dragon tempted Eve. In any place you see a dragon, it's the same word as a serpent. Okay? And the dragon or serpent represents Satan. Okay, so now in Revelation chapter 12, beginning at verse 7 and going from verse 7 down to from verse 7 down to verse 12. Revelation chapter 12 from verse 7 to 12. Can you all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. It looks like someone says they can't hear. Oh, you're talking about the sound of the slap. Right. That's correct. Okay, that's correct. That's right, Castle King. But let's look at this. Revelation chapter 12 from verse 7 to 12. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Oh, by the way, regardless of what you believe who Michael is, the meaning of the name is who is like the Most High, or one like the Most High. So regardless of what you believe, and I don't want to create a controversy with that, but because I'm trying to get to a broader point here. The word Michael represents a fraction or a power, a group that was representing or with or on the side of the Creator Yah. That's all we need to know for this example. So a group of people or a group of beings that were on the side of Creator Yah were fighting against the serpent or the dragon or Satan. Okay? In verse 8, and prevailed not, neither was their place, there being the dragon, place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And before I continue, I want us to understand the import of that statement. When the Bible does not exaggerate, exaggerations are another way of calling a lie. To exaggerate about something is to be lying about it. The Bible does not lie, and it does not exaggerate, because it represents the Father who cannot lie. So when it says that the dragon deceives the whole planet, take that seriously and literally. Okay? He was cast to the earth. So he brought with him the ability to deceive the whole world, to trick the whole world. As Eve said, the serpent beguiled me and I did eat. Okay? So continuing, and I heard a voice, a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our Most High and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Most High day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore, rejoice, ye heavens, and them that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. His time is limited. He will not last for eternity. And the Bible tells us about a lie. The Bible says, a lip of truth is established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. It's a limited time. By virtue of the fact of that principle and the fact that this being deceives the earth and is a liar, the earth, as it says in Revelation 15, verse 3 and 4, Revelation 13, verse 3 and 4. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshiped the dragon. That is, they worshiped the liar. The earth, all the world worshiped a liar. The whole earth is based in lies. And the lies are deceiving the earth. And especially this is true in the area of entertainment. As a general rule, the poorest people by race in the United States are Black people. As a general rule, the poorest people as a percentage of their overall population are Black people. Been that way since we've been brought here in chains. And as a general rule, the richest Black people are involved in entertainment. As a general rule, the richest Black people are people that sing, dance, act, perform, either on a stage, in a movie, on an athletic arena. By and large, excuse me, sorry. By and large, the Hebrews that are the biggest payers, the people that are paid the best in America, are entertainers. Okay, by and large, as a percentage of their population. You will find more millionaires among entertainers than you will almost in any other field, probably all the rest of them combined. Why do I bring that up? Asatan knows who we are, even when we don't know who we are. I am quite sure that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett and Chris Rock have no idea who they really are. Okay. And part of the devil's trick involving Hollywood, particularly, you know, if you go back in the the origins, of Hollywood, of what the term is Hollywood, but these days, these movies are made everywhere, right? They're not just made in Hollywood, California. So when I say Hollywood, I'm talking about the origins of moving pictures on large screens. If you were to go back to the origins of that, the people who were the original people that created studios and large screen movies were Ashkenazi Jewish people. These people were generally despised and hated, especially here in the United States. The Ku Klux Klan was formed as a group that hates not only Black people, which they did, but they hated Ashkenazi Jews as well. They hated both groups. And so both groups were despised. The Ashkenazi Jews created Hollywood. And by putting people in front of a moving camera and putting their faces on giant screens and making them famous, it did not matter that they were Ashkenazi Jews. The most racist people would go to Hollywood to try to get a chance to get on that screen. At the time, by and large, the true Hebrews were blocked from the screen. I mean, you had individual filmmakers at that time that had to create their own movies their own way because they would not be permitted to go on those screens unless it was a ridicule situation. You were a servant, you were somebody that was laughed at, you were somebody low. That was the only time you got on the screen if you were Black or you were Hebrew. But man, they made big stars out of nobodies. And they had the power to do that. I wonder who gave them that power. And they, over the course of decades, they became the most powerful people on earth in terms of being able to control media and put forth images, make people rich and famous. And then you got, over the course of time, them working with the US government. How do I know this? There was a great Hollywood producer named Frank Capra. Who knows if that was his original name, because oftentimes they changed their name so they wouldn't sound Ashkenazi, like they wouldn't sound Yiddish type names from Germanic tribes. But this man, Frank Capra, made a movie called It's a Wonderful Life. It plays just about, even to this day. He made that movie, I think he made that movie in the 1930s. And to this day, it plays every year around Christmas time. It's a Wonderful Life. The US government hired this man to make propaganda movies about World War II, to encourage the people that watched the movie to enlist, to buy into the war effort. And this was at a time prior to World War II. The people of the United States didn't want to be involved in any war. Especially after World War I, they didn't want to be involved with that. But these movies created by Frank Capra, and he created cartoons. A lot of the cartoons that Warner Brothers, you see Warner Brothers, these were originally created for the war effort, to entertain the troops and to encourage them to join in the war. And from that point, at least till now, Hollywood has been used as a tremendous source of media to brainwash, to control how we think, to control what we talk about, to control our minds in a way that they can divert us anytime they want. Also, of course, as we mentioned before, nowadays, the devil's people are so open. the secret societies, the Jesuit order, Hollywood, that they will show you what they're about to do years before they do it and let you know what they're about to do. And you won't even realize what they're telling you until it happens. They made a movie in 1993 called, oh God, I can't remember the name of it now. Under Siege. It was Under Siege in 1993. What was the movie about? It was about the planned bombing of the World Trade Center by different groups of Muslims that they called Muslim terrorist cells. This was 8 years before 9/11. 8 years before 9/11. Okay. And that type of thing they do often. To put it in your face what they're about to do. Okay. Planned years ahead. So when you see anything, brothers and sisters, involving Hollywood, please read the word and you will see through the lies. For example, in the late 80s, early 90s, Spike Lee was doing some movies. So now over the course of time, Black people fought hard to get into Hollywood. They would do anything. I mean, anything. And there's been people from Hollywood that have testified, that have bore witness of some of the rituals that they have to undergo to be accepted, to get a shot at being on that big screen. I remember my brother wanted to be an actor, my blood brother. And he was trying his best to break in. He was trying to model. He was trying to do this. He was trying to do that. And then he started getting little bit parts, in long-running TV series, just little bit parts. Like if you didn't know him, you wouldn't see him. Like he'd be a waiter in some place, or he'd be a valet, something like that. You would never know who he is. Or he'd show up at a little party and just be one of the people in the party. But he could never get that next big thing. And so, he was, there was an ex-girlfriend of mine that was out there in California with him. And she took him she said, "You want to go to this party?" He said, "Yeah." So he's going to this party. Oh, the reason she thought he would want to go to the party is because there's going to be a whole lot of pretty girls there, especially models. There's going to be a lot of models there. And my brother was into that, of course. So he went with her to the party. So he went to the party. And man, he had more girls than he knew what to do with. And he wondered because there was a lot of dudes there. And she said, "Oh, all the dudes are gay." He said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, that's why I told you to come, because you're going to have your pick, because there's a lot of women here that want a man because all the guys are gay." Now, this was back in the early 1980s, late 70s. And I was like, whoa. He told me, I was like, whoa. But he said, "Nah, it gets better." I was like, "What?" He said, my brother told me, he said, "I had to get out, man." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Bro," he said, "I went to one of them parties after that, and they told me why I wasn't getting bigger parts." This was in the 90s now, because he had been trying a while. And he said, "Why?" He said, "Well, there's certain things you got to do." And he said, "What?" They wanted him to have men rape him. Famous men, Hollywood producers. And then he would find himself, they said, "You find yourself moving up." That's the first time I heard it. The second time, another brother from Baltimore told me the same thing. He had been writing, producing like scripts. And he thought the scripts was pretty good. People told him it was good. And he was peddling the scripts in California. And, they would tell him, "Oh, this is pretty good, but nah, we can't use it." Or "This is pretty good, but nah, we can't use it." And he just didn't understand. They would tell him it was good, but they couldn't use none of his scripts. Apparently, he was very talented. They told him, but no, we can't use it. So if one day somebody took him aside, he said, okay, I'm going to tell you why. He said, you're not initiated. You're not in. Dude said, what you mean I'm not initiated? What do you mean? And that sounded weird. He said, yo, that sounded weird, man. They told him the same thing they told my brother. You have to do certain things for certain people. And it involved homosexual activity. Not just homosexual activity with one dude, gang raped. You had to be gang raped by a bunch of dudes. And you had to perform certain oral acts on all of them. And what they told both my brother and this brother, you see any black man that's in the screen in Hollywood, they all had to do that. They all had to do that. Okay? They wouldn't be on the screen otherwise. And again, let me just reiterate, Hollywood is handled by the same people that originated Hollywood. And what happens after you've gone through all that to get on the big screen and then you've gotten all of that money, they could cause you to do whatever they want you to do. And if you want to leave, you could leave, but you'll lose everything. You'll lose all that money. And that's how you can tell when a Hollywood person is waking up. That's how you can tell when a Hollywood person is deciding, I want to leave the devil's playground. They'll get blackballed out of Hollywood. They'll lose all their money. They'll even sometimes they might bring up charges on them and send them to jail. And when you see that kind of stuff, what you need to understand is they done pissed off the wrong person. That's what happened. Otherwise, you'd never know about it. Okay? So this happens to everybody that goes to Hollywood. They say they treat the women, if you can imagine, even worse than the men. And then they have people that have been initiated, even Hebrews, doing it to other people that want to get in. So this thing that happened the other day, it was staged. In my view, it was staged. Staged to take all of our attention there and to take it seriously as if something serious happened. Nothing serious happened. Nothing really happened. I mean, really, when you step back, think about it. Who cares if Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? I mean, really, what does that have to do? See, that is why when you hear me begin a video, especially when I do a Knicks video, how do I start the video? I talk about real life and people with real problems dealing with life and death. Is that correct? Why do you think that is? Because I don't want anybody to forget there's real life out here. There are people being snatched off the street and sold in every county, in every state in the United States. There's people being snatched and sold. There's women being raped and paraded and sold right in front of you. You might see them in the mall. You might see them in the store and not know they're being trafficked. There are people out here selling their children for pills. And Most High bless and help those children. I saw the testimony of a woman the other day. Brother was interviewing her on the street in Atlanta. She looked like she was 60 and she was only in her 40s. And she said she had about 14 kids. And they asked her, where are the fathers? She said, I don't know. He said, what do you mean you don't know? When is the first time you had a child? She said, I had a child when I was 14. And they said, well, what happened? They said, my mother used to, the first time I was sleeping in my room, my mother had somebody pay and they came and raped me in my room. And she said it started happening so often, sometimes I'll be sleeping, somebody jump on me and rape me, and I'll get pregnant and never know who the father was. And here she was sleeping on the street. Her mother was selling her into that. Um, brothers and sisters, this is the real world. This is not Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. This is the real world. So I'm not trying to say, because this is the thing. One of the reasons I have found, and I can speak for myself, one of the reasons we enjoy entertainment is because there's so much stress in our lives that it's a way for us to get a little release, right? I mean, there's so much stress, you need something to divert your mind. Otherwise, you might go crazy. But I say to you, don't take entertainment too seriously. Don't take it too seriously. Like in sports, right? People take it, I found on my channel, people take it deadly serious, man. And the thing is, I mean, what I have found, I've learned a lot since I started this channel, the sports side of this channel. What I have learned is that there are people whose lives are so miserable, just their real life is so miserable that they take out that anger and frustration on a figure in sports or on a sports team or on an individual. They'll take out their anger. They'll be talking about this person like they don't care if they die. Like it'd be really serious. And then there's another aspect. There's the gambling aspect. So people are putting money on a player, a team, an individual in sports to the tune, when you add it all up, is billions of dollars every day. Every day. So now it's not a game to them anymore. It's something very serious. Life and death sometimes. Okay. And so you understand, I mean, and again, this is all diverting us from the storm that's coming. You know, I was looking at Luke chapter 17. Luke chapter 17. In fact, I put that in the description box, Luke chapter 17. And like today, I got a comment from a subscriber, and he said, this is just a child's game. What's everybody tripping about a child's game? And I explained to him, if you're dealing with billions of dollars between people betting on it, organizations depending on that income for franchises that are worth billions of dollars, and then you have the people that are just, because their lives are miserable, they put everything, their whole motion into it. It's not a child's game anymore. It changes. It's like, I'm not into golf, right? But one thing I recognized a long time ago about golf, I'm not into it. And I didn't really, be honest with you, I didn't pay no attention to it until Tiger Woods got in the late 90s. And that was only for a little while. But like, if you are hitting the golf ball, right, with the putt, and let's say that the hole is 5 feet away, right? So you might say, man, this is 5 feet away. You know, you hit that in the hole. But when you're doing it and there's 30, 40, 50, $100 million at stake, it becomes a lot more serious, right? It becomes a lot more serious. And that, brothers and sisters, again, is getting us diverting our attention. And it's diverted our attention for several reasons. For example, right now, there's supposed to be a war going on in Russia, between Ukraine and Russia. But I am quite sure that everybody's attention was on Chris Rock and Will Smith for at least 24 hours. That's what they call a news cycle, right? So they create a news cycle situation, and for 24 hours, you're diverted. They could be doing anything over there. We don't even know. They could be raping, killing, murdering, bombing. We have no idea. I did hear that all the Hebrews that were unfortunate enough to be in the Ukraine are getting riled up in training into concentration camps. and that the Caucasian ones were being able to get into Poland, but if you were black, you could not. I did hear that. We have no idea what's going on while everybody's watching Will Smith slap Chris Rock. You see what I mean? That's where we at. You have to always, brothers and sisters, remember, there's a couple of things we talked about, right? From the learning from the word, 100% of the time, the media is lying to you. Just don't forget that. 100% of the time, they're lying to you. What you're trying to find out is what is the lie, who's benefiting. And then you can see through it. And once you can see through it, you can understand what their motives are. Okay. The minute I saw that thing, because I got too much history in terms of seeing stuff like this, being as old as I am. I said, I told my wife, that's staged. That's staged. They just staged that. The whole thing was staged. And the butt of the joke, check it out, was the sister's short hair. That's the butt of the joke. The sister's short hair. So they let her be humiliated. You know how many sisters are going out and buying hair? They let her be humiliated to divert attention. Now, they're getting paid for that humiliation, but how much money is your soul worth? That's the question. How much money is your soul worth? Okay, that's basically what they got to do. Sell it. They get raped, humiliated, but they get paid. And you know what else bothers me? Before we go to chapter 17, you know what else bothers me? Why they always got to put a brother in a dress? Right now, Jamie Foxx is another entertainer. He became famous when he used to dress as a woman on In Living Color. Now, once he's been probably turned out, he can play the Django, later on. But before that, he has to dress as a woman. Then there was one brother, he's a comedian, and he said he wasn't going to do it, and they blackballed him. But then I guess he's so good at what he does, he kept telling jokes, and he's still getting his money. But he wouldn't do it. The other day, I was at my job, and they were talking about this movie, a certain movie. I don't even want to name it because it's not worth y'all buying and watch it like I did. Don't waste your money. But they were saying, everybody needs to watch this movie, and then Monday we come back. And the title sounded interesting, and I looked it up, and I saw the people that were acting in it, right? And I thought, okay, this might be interesting. So I paid $4, which is $4 too much, to have it on Amazon. And the black actor that was in there, I was looking forward to seeing him. Chris Tucker. Some of y'all heard of Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker was in. And the movie went on, and probably like 3/4 through the movie, Chris Tucker shows up as a bisexual, dressed as a woman. Man, I was so sick. I was like, Dad, see? And so we, as Hebrews, didn't realize when they were trying to shut us out of Hollywood, maybe the Most High was protecting us. Maybe he was protecting us. Yeah, that's right, Don. Maybe he was protecting us, man. Because now that we got it, that's right. That's the one. That's the one. Now that we got in there, man, they dogging us out, man. They dogging us out. Dogging us out. Look, Luke chapter 17. Luke chapter 17. I like this one because it's also this same narrative is not only in Luke, it's in Matthew and Mark as well. But I like the way Luke does it because it involves Noah and Lot. Let's look at it. Look at it in Luke chapter 17. I'm gonna start at verse 22, and I'm gonna come from verse 22. From verse 22 down to verse 30. Luke chapter 17 from verse 22 down to verse 30. And he said unto the disciples, the days will come when ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye shall not see it. And they shall say unto you, see here, or see there. Go not after them, nor follow them. For as lightning lighteneth out of one part under heaven, and shineth unto the other part under heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. But first he must suffer many things, and be rejected of this generation. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also as it was in the days of Lot. This is why he brings up Lot as well as Noah. As it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Brothers and sisters, you remember what was going on where Lot was. Lot lived in a city called Sodom with a twin city, Gomorrah. Sodom is where we get the word sodomite or sodomy. Two angels came there to destroy it, but people didn't recognize them because they looked like two men. They saw Lot and they told him, get out of here. We're going to destroy this place. And before they came to Lot, or while they were in Lot's house, men of the city came to rape them. Bring those two men out, they told Lot, that we may know them before they were destroyed. And you see what the Messiah said. They lived life every day like it was a regular day and did their dirt until the day came when they were destroyed. Let me tell you something. The Most High has shown the Hebrews from his word the return of the Son of Man. Brothers and sisters, we who understand this truth are being prepared for that time. We're being prepared for that time. We're being prepared to be able to stand for the truth at that time. To the rest of the earth, the vast, vast, vast majority of the earth, there is no way they're going to be prepared. Listen, brothers and sisters, this is not a thing you can do overnight. The Most High is the preparer. As we surrender to him, he prepares us with the spirit of perfect righteousness that only he can give. He uses the trials and tribulations of the Hebrew to prepare all of us, even the Gentiles. The Gentiles that come into this truth will suffer the trials and tribulations of the Hebrew. And he uses those trials and tribulations that are unique to the Hebrew to prepare us to be able to stand. And we will be able to. But there's most people, it's going to overwhelm them. And because the hearts of those people are not prepared, they'll attack back at the Most High. They will not repent. You know, I was looking at Revelation chapter 16, and we're going to study that in our Revelation series soon. But you know that there are 4 elements on the planet Earth. There is earth, there's wind, there's fire, and there's water. Y'all know that, right? So there's earth, there's wind, there's fire, and there's water. Okay? And Most High was so good, he revealed to me that you and I are made of earth, wind, and water. You and I are all made up. We're more than 90% water. And our bodies are made of clay, like earth. That's where Adam came from. And he fills us with a spirit of life. He breathes into us wind, right? But what about the fire? I thought, what about the fire? And the Most High showed me. He has chosen the furnace of affliction for us. Fire purifies. What it doesn't destroy, it purifies. And he has chosen that fire to refine the Hebrews. But to the unrepentant, it destroys them. And the example, as we know, is in Daniel chapter 3. So let's take a look at Daniel chapter 3, because we'll see that example. Because I thought, okay, he showed. And in 16 of Revelation, you see all four elements. You see the earth, you see the wind, you see the fire, and you see the water. All four elements are in the 7 last plagues. Okay, in Daniel chapter 3, after the 3 Hebrews refused to bow to the image of the beast because they would be faithful to Yah's covenant, and they were threatened with death and eventually thrown into the fire. Watch this. In Daniel chapter 3, Nebuchadnezzar threatens them, beginning at verse 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring, and of course he named them by Babylonian names, but they knew their real names: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye, watch what he says now. We're in the same position now, and it's coming forward. Okay? O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods? Notice his question. Do not ye serve my gods? Brothers and sisters, that's the image to the beast. We're going to talk about that this week. That's the image to the beast right there of Revelation 13. Same thing here. Although here, it's more of a allegory. Okay? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up. That's the question. Oh, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you 3 Hebrew captives in Babylon, do not ye serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? That's the question. Verse 15. In other words, y'all must be crazy. You know who I am? You know I rule Babylon? Do not you serve my gods? Aren't you captives that we bring you here in chains? Didn't I place you in high positions? Verse 15. Now, if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, at what time the entertainment starts, you fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if you worship not, I want you to compare how many times in Revelation, here's your homework. How many times in Revelation 13 do you see the word worship? Check that out for yourself. How many times in Revelation chapter 13 do you see the word worship? And what's the context? Pay attention to that. Here we go. Same in Daniel 3. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. We don't got to think about it. If it be so, our Most High, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. If it's his will, he's going to deliver us. You have nothing to do about that. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. We're not worshiping your gods. We're not in your religion. We're not worshiping your image. No. Life or death, no. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Let's continue. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and form of his visions was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into a burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men which took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. There's the fire. It slew the wicked. Verse 23. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the son of Yahweh. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near the mouth of the furnace, of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High Yah, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor smell of fire had passed on them. Brothers and sisters, once you are purified by Yah, the fire doesn't hurt you anymore. We're talking spiritual now. The fire won't hurt you, but we all must be purified by the trials of fire. Don't get distracted by these Hollywood things, by these stages that's being put in front of us to distract us. Don't look. These people that are on the screen are not your role models. People act like they're so serious and you should watch what they do because they're rich. But they got rich because they got turned out. And they have masters. They're just high-priced slaves. It's just like a man back in this, remember in the 80s, Mr. T? Mr. T used to wear like 20 pounds of gold around his neck, all kind of gold, right? And they asked him, why you wear so much gold around your neck? And he's the only one that I remember that was in Hollywood that spoke the truth. He said, I am still a slave, but my price tag is higher. And he spoke the truth. Don't let Hollywood or entertainment distract you. The fire is for us. The fire is for us, brothers and sisters. I call it the Hebrew fire because it's for us. He has chosen for us the furnace of affliction to purify us. And any man or woman that wants to enter into the kingdom must go through it. And he will, as he delivered our 3 Hebrew brothers, he will deliver us also through the fire. And the day is coming when the fire, the Bible says, comes down out of heaven and devours the wicked. It will not hurt us. will not hurt anything that's in righteousness. I pray the Most High blesses you and keeps you and guides you past the deception. I pray that he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and that he lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Shalom.